everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Cracksat Turning Problems into Solutions. This is me Priyasha and today in this video we'll be discussing some more questions on para completion and also we'll discuss some tricks to solve that faster using the option elimination technique. And make sure after watching these videos you also check out my live classes at Unacademy. They are absolutely free and you will get to practice more questions live with me for absolutely free. So do check out the description box for joining the super class link right there. And before that, let me tell you about the Unacademy's Champions League for all the CAT 2022 aspirants. So if you're planning to give CAT 2022, then this is one of the best opportunities to avail by Unacademy, which is absolutely free. Yes, that's the right time now to give an early mock test and access which are the areas which you are good at and which are the areas you need to focus more at so that you can prepare the remaining number of months accordingly. And Unacademy is giving you this opportunity absolutely free. What you just need to do is use the link in the description box and enroll yourself into this UCL absolutely free. And this is going to take place on 24th of April, 12:30 p.m. live. Remember to use my code Priyasha10 while enrolling into this free test so that you get access to the 4 days free workshop associated with it as well. Now in this workshop, the teachers will be telling you about the tips and the tricks to access all the things present on the Unacademy's website and also ace the examination with better marks. And there will be also a session talk with the topper who would be sharing his insights for acing the examination. But to top all of this, you still stand a chance to win up to 100% scholarship and free gifts like MacBook Air, iPhone XR, and Apple AirPods for an absolutely free test. So please don't miss out this test. Use the link in the description box. And now let's get our video started. Hello everyone. So in this session 2 of the para completion videos, we will be discussing about the option elimination technique, which will surely give us the accurate answers, and also about few types of para completion questions. They can be conclusion type, they can be sequence of action type. So we will be discussing two types of questions based on that. And the most essential part of this video is of course how to eliminate the options. We'll discuss that and that will eventually help us in answering the para completion questions not just accurately but also even faster. So the first topic which we're going to take up is the reason for eliminating one option can be that it is irrelevant to the passage. Now when I say irrelevant, these are the answer options which are the conclusions which are either entirely unrelated or only vaguely connected to some part of the passage. Just like I gave in my previous video, I gave an example of the major theme of the passage was students and their life cycle. But just because one of the part was talking about the peer pressure, so the conclusion in the final answer option was also talking about the peer pressure. So that is vaguely connected. So if you find something like that, please eliminate it because of the reason of it being irrelevant to the passage. Next comes the reason of contradiction. So there are some answer options where the last line will be disapproving of the entire things mentioned in the paragraph above. So whenever this happens, you know that this is not the answer. If the author is continuously talking about the uses of a particular thing and the conclusion line or the last line in the answer option is talking about its opposite, then of course it is a contradiction, not our answer. Now this is very essential to understand too broad and too narrow. So what happens in the case of too broad? This is the kind of answer option that magnifies the scope of the argument beyond the reasonable. That means, let me give you an example for it. For example, if the paragraph may only be talking about the one who is going to be the next governor of Texas, but suddenly the answer, like when you check out the answer options, the one of the answer options will be concluding the sentence or concluding the paragraph by raising the topic of the next US president. So it's going on a broader scale, right? You were actually just mentioning or concerned about Texas, but they are concerned about the US as a whole. So that's why that makes it too broad and too generalized. And when something becomes too generalized, then that case we call it as a wrong answer option and we eliminate it under the category of too broad. And just the opposite of it is called as too narrow, where what happens is that the answer options which focuses pointlessly on a very minor aspect of the paragraph and therefore fails to complete the complete broader or grander scene or theme of the passage is said to be too narrow. I'll give you some examples with the help of this options or the questions right there below, like how can you eliminate an option calling it as too narrow. Just like say previous example which I said, the broader theme was students life cycle, but because one of the answer option is just talking about bullying, which was just one point mentioned in the paragraph, one sentence mentioned in the paragraph, that is pointlessly focusing on only one aspect rather than the broader theme, which is students. So these kind of things really help you to eliminate at least two options for sure out of 4 or 5. Then comes the inconsistent tone. Now, if you remember in the previous video, I told you that along with the subject and the theme of the paragraph, you're also supposed to figure out the tone of the author, because that will help you in option elimination. And here it is. See, be very careful of the options that are clearly out of sync with the tone of the passage. The most common type of this is a paragraph that is formal in the tone and proposed conclusion will be extremely informal. So in this kind of a situation, you know that you have to eliminate that option based on the inconsistency in the tone. And then comes the last one, which is the new themes. And this happens multiple times. Of course, you will get one or two options which will be out of scope. You have heard me right, out of scope. We have discussed that multiple times, and these out of scope things are called as the newer themes. So such new themes are always related to the ongoing discussion in the passage only, but they cannot be immediately introduced. The writer may talk about them in a next paragraph or the one after that, but not in the same given paragraph. So that's what you have to understand, the continuity, the logical flow. If it's not something which was expected just after this line, it's not our answer. So these are some very, very relevant things which will help you to eliminate the options, and we'll see how we can apply these things and make the solving process faster using the type of para completion questions. So the first type of para completion question is based on the sequence of action pattern. The example which I took in my previous video, the example of strained relations between factory dealers and the consumers, was an example of the cause and the effect pattern. Now the two which you are going to see here are related to the action of sequence of actions and the conclusion type. So when we are talking about sequence of actions, we have some tips for you. The first one is that the last line must not have a new element not at all related to the ideas which are discussed earlier. So when you are having or discussing a question based on action of patterns, you know that the last line should be a connected line. The last line have structure and the order very similar to the preceding ideas. Next thing which you need to keep in mind is that the logical arrangement of the last line should be such that it gives you a complete flow. That means whatever you ended your sentence with, the next line should be in continuation of that. And lastly, the idea in the last line should give you a very smooth transition from the idea in the preceding lines. Preceding lines are surely in the paragraph. So let's take an example right here, and we will use the option elimination technique to get this answer faster. So the paragraph says, as anyone who has read the best-selling novel The Kite Runner knows, springtime in Kabul is heralded by the flocks of dipping, looping and diving kites. So they here I try to understand that the subject of the passage looks like kite flying in Afghanistan. Okay, and then next comes, but there aren't the kites of lazy weekend picnics. So they are trying to make a difference between the normal people who fly kites and this kite runner, like here, this kite festival in Afghans, among Afghans. Then they are finely tuned flying machines sensitive to the slightest tug of the master's hand. The Afghan penchant for the competition, and though few will admit it, gambling means that almost anything offers opportunity for a fight and a punt, from dogs to cocks to quail, ships, boiled eggs, and yes, even kites. The object of this cruel ballot is to slice your opponent's strings with yours, sending the vanquished tissue paper jewel spiraling to the streets below. So the last line, see, when you look at this passage, you read it, you understood it's about kite flying in Afghans, and you also get a broader picture of the theme that the kite flying is taken as a competition in the Afghans. Now, the tone which we find here is descriptive in nature, where the author is describing this condition. What we need to figure out is a logical flow and the option elimination for finding out the last line. Okay, so let's figure out what can we eliminate easily. Option number 5, we'll start with the bottom. Option number 5, it is typically the Afghan activity not seen anywhere else in the world. We are not making any comparisons here, so out of the scope. Out of scope, wrong answer. People who have placed bets on the kites make and lose large sum of money. So why am I supposed to delete or eliminate it? Because it is not taking forward my idea. My idea stopped at a point where the kite is, now falling down on the street. So something which will connect this will be my correct last answer. So this is not connecting, so this is also gone. The third one says, thus do kite runners spend their time. How they are spending their time was none of our business in the entire paragraph. And moreover, it's a conclusion type sentence which we don't need. It's not a direct connection to the paper, like kite falling down. So this will also go off. Now let's read 1 and 2. Packs of boys too poor to buy their own kites race for the downward warcraft. What is downed warcraft? The kite which is falling down, so that they too can enter the fray. So the kite whose string is gone can be again reused with a new string. And the people who are poor to buy their own kites always sit and wait for this opportunity, that when someone's kite is actually cut, they will grab it and they will start flying it using a new string. And is it in complete alignment with the previous paragraph or the last line of the paragraph? Yes, it is. But just to confirm our answer, I'll also check option number 1 and try to eliminate it. The option 1 says the broken kite floats down the Afghan terrain, eagerly watched by the crowd. All right, so here also we are talking about the kite falling down, but this is not my next action, because the action what is done with the kite is already mentioned in the second line. So if I compare 1 and 2, I will be sticking to 2, because 2 completes the entire sense of the paragraph. And that was all about this question. Now we'll quickly move to the next category. The answer of the previous one was second question. Now this category is a para completion question based on the conclusion pattern. So what tips do we need to remember before solving a conclusion type question? It should bring your paragraph to a very smooth end, should not be abrupt at all. The conclusion should be logically derivable from the premise which is already stated. That means if you are coming out with a conclusion or a statement of your own, then that should be supported by the objects or the things which are already mentioned in the paragraph. Then comes your conclusion should focus on only the main idea of the passage and should be relevant to the key issues which were discussed in the passage. Make sure to review the main points very carefully before coming to a conclusion, and restating the topic sentence can be a part of it. I'll discuss about it in detail. Let's first read the paragraph. Nevertheless, photographers still retain some of the magical allure that the earliest daguerreotypes inspired. As objects or photographs have changed, how have they changed? They have become physically flimsier as they have become more technologically sophisticated. Daguerre produced pictures on the copper plates, and today many of our photographs never became tangible things, but instead remain filed away on our computers and cameras, part of the digital ether that envelops the modern world. At the same time, our patience for the creation of the images has also eroded. Children today are used to being tracked from the birth by digital cameras and video recorders, and they expect to see the results of their poses and performs instantly. The space between life as it has been lived and life as it is being lived, or as it is being displayed, shrinks to a mere second. So you can just see the picture right now in front of your eyes. But that is talking about what? Now the first thing you read here, what comes to your mind? The first thing comes to your mind is the subject, which is photographs, and the theme, which is photographs, and the digitalization of the photography. The tone is definitely descriptive in nature, and the keywords we see here is nevertheless, still remains, or still retains. Why is it very important? Because that helps us to understand that even though the paragraph is completely talking about the digitalization of the process, somewhere or the other, the author is still sticking to the old method. So we will just see if that helps us to eliminate the other options and get my correct answer right now. So I'll read through the first option, and the first option says yet. So change of idea. Till now we were talking about digitalization. The last line is change of idea. Yet, despite these technical developments, it's in completely in line. If you see, it's completely in line because previously we were talking about the technical developments only. Photographs still remain powerful because they are reminders of the people and the things we care about. Seems perfectly fine to me, but I'll still confirm using the other options. Second option says images, after all, are surrogates carried into the battle by a soldier or by a traveler on a holiday. This is going out of the scope of the passage or introducing newer themes and data. And because of that reason, we will eliminate the second sentence. Photographs, be they digital or traditional, exist to remind us of the absent, the beloved, and the dead. Come on, it's just not about the absent, the beloved, and the dead. So this line, why does it why do we eliminate this? Because they are just extending the idea mentioned in the passage, not closing it or concluding it. So therefore gone. Now fourth one, in the new era of the digital images have to be greater potential for fostering the falsehood. Again, new theme. New theme, trickery, falsehood. We were not talking about this earlier. Information is new, so that is not my conclusion. And the last one, anyway, human nature being what it is, little time has passed after photography inventions became means of living life through the images. Now, this 5 also adds a new idea which extends the paragraph's idea of concluding it, okay, which is not concluding it, rather extending the paragraph. So this means this is also gone, and the one which I considered to be right is the correct answer, where I am still talking about even after so many technical developments, these photographs have still remained to be reminders of the people and the things we care about. So this was all about it, guys. I took two examples of two different types of para completion questions with the option elimination technique, and this option elimination technique will help you to get the answers faster and more accurate as well. So if you like this video, please like this video, share it with more and more people. I'll be up with more such videos and more sessions on para completion for sure, where I'll be taking up some moderate and advanced level questions. But till then, please take care of yourself, and if you're new to this channel, then please do subscribe as well. Thank you so much for watching this video.